Good morning and welcome to Drum Corps Central, a podcast. I am a 13-year-old Drum Corps superfan who loves all forms of the marching arts. Thanks for watching the podcast today. There will be an almost daily episode of this podcast recapping the previous night's Drum Corps scores and looking ahead. Today is Sunday, July 8th, 2018, and last night we had 3 big DCI shows and 2 kind of small DCA shows. I'll get to all of that, plus tonight's 3 DCI shows, plus a look at leaderboards for both DCA World and Open Class and DCA Open and A Class. So let's get started. First up last night was Renton, Washington, the Seattle Summer Music Games. 2 Open Class scores here. The Battalion and Colombians. On Friday night in Vancouver, the Colombians got first place. Last night, the Battalion take that honor, go up by 4/10 on the Colombians. 2 pretty good scores there for those 2 corps. They are not going to World Championships this year, but in the next couple of years, if they do come to championships, I think these 2 would be 2 heavy hitters. I think they could be top 5 corps. And they are on the leaderboard. I'll show you in just a little bit. We can see that the Battalion Colombians are top 10 corps in Open Class. I find it very good for those 2 organizations. Then down in World Class, same lineup, even Open Class as Friday night in Vancouver. The top scores go up a little bit, like the top 4. Pacific Crest stays about the same. The Oregon Crusaders go down, and so do the Seattle Cascades. Oregon Crusaders beat Pacific Crest on Friday night. They fall now by 1.6. It was only a 10th on Friday, so not a big shock there. There is your scores for the Seattle Summer Music Games. Let's take a look at the scoring recap for the Seattle Summer Music Games from last night. Here's the Open Class recap. First, you see the Battalion not too good in general effect. That's really where the Colombians shine. They get first place in general effect by 1.2. Visual, Battalion strong there. 1.5 victory there. Very good for them. Then down in music, kind of split. Brass percussion, the Battalion, and music analysis to the Colombians. Then finally in World Class, this is just general effect and visual. Music is on the next slide. Vanguard sweeps everything. Look at that color guard score. Look how good that is for the Academy. That is why the Blue Knights could be a corps that they're vulnerable right now. There's a corps like the Mandarins. They're coming east, kind of, like to the Midwest. We'll see them on the 10th in Sioux City, Iowa. But look at the Academy. They're second in color guard in this show over the Blue Knights. That means that I think the Mandarin's color guard is probably better than the Academy. There's probably a few other corps better than the Academy in color guard. I think it's something we're seeing in percussion too with these East Coast shows. That some, like the Bluecoats, they were 3rd the other night. I think it was in Clifton in percussion. There are corps that will even go higher than them. Vanguard, Blue Devils, Cavaliers. That means they might actually be 7th or 8th in percussion. The top 10, top 12 really are just going to be so close this year. I think it's going to be so intriguing as we go through the season. You go down the line here at Pacific Crest, Oregon Crusaders. Just want to take a peek at them real quick. Overall general effect, Oregon Crusaders and Pacific Crest both tie there. Over in visual, that all goes to Pacific Crest. And then finally here in music, 6th Oregon Crusaders, 5th Pacific Crest. You can see along there. Percussion, a strong suit for the Oregon Crusaders. There's your look at the scoring recap for the Seattle Summer Music Games. Next up, Minneapolis, Minnesota, DCI, Minnesota. I want to correct myself on something I said yesterday. I said that This was the first regional of the season. Actually, is not a regional this year, just a pretty big show, because this show, if you remember a few years back, used to have like every single corps except for like 5 or 6. Now it only has 8 world-class corps, as you'll see in a second. But let's talk about last night. Open class, Legends, first place. That score definitely more of what I like seeing from the Legends. They sounded pretty good last night on the Flow Marching broadcast that I watched. Pretty good for the Legends. River City Rhythm, they really have something special this year going for them, 53.3. The Colt Cadets Shadow then third and fourth. Those two have gone head-to-head. Much of Shadow's short career in DCI, and I think they will keep going neck and neck as the season goes on and potentially battling for a open class finalist berth when it comes down to Michigan City in August. Then over on the world class side, the Blue Devils, they get first place over the Cavaliers. Something that I was watching here, could the Cavaliers potentially knock off the Blue Devils? It's a very not expected circumstance, but could the Cavaliers have knocked off the Blue Devils? They did not get to that. But 1.6, that is very strong for the Cavaliers. I think the Blue Devils are just where they need to be. As you'll see on the leaderboard, only a point behind where the Bluecoats and Vanguard are. They're fine where they are right now. Their show is really well designed. It's just a really good show, as many are this year. So I think that show is going to be one to be reckoned with in August. You go down the leaderboard here. Blue Stars, they got the worst of the kind of draw. Had to go first out of Phantom, Crossman, and themselves. They slide right in fourth. They did beat Phantom the other night, but now they go fourth here. Phantom third, Crossman fifth. Colts just a mere half a tenth away from the Madison Scouts now. That is a gap that grew really large, and now it's shrank back down to just that mere half-tenth. Good thing for Madison, whatever for Colts. I mean, you're defeating Madison Scouts right now. I think that is brilliant for the Colts. And then Genesis down in 8th, pretty good score for them at that 63.3. I think they definitely will be able to get in semifinals when it comes to August. Now let's take a look at the scoring recap for DCI Minnesota last night. So, open class first. See general effect and visual on the top, music down on the bottom. This is really the top two. General effect music, they go as is. It's mostly 1, 2, 3, 4, other than Color Guard Colt Cadets defeat River City Rhythm. Then you get down to music. Brass is 1, 2, 3, 4. Music analysis is Legends, River City Rhythm, Shadow, Colt Cadets. Then you get over to percussion, and that's where it gets crazy. River City Rhythm first by 3/10 over Shadow, who's second. Third, 2/10 back of Shadow goes to Legends, and then the Colt Cadets back and forth. Very weak here, 9.5. That's 1.1 behind River City Rhythm. So it's really crazy in percussion, as we've seen on a lot of shows this year. So there's your scoring recap for open class in Minnesota. Now over on the world class side of things, here you see general effect and visual. Blue Devils win everything on these two except color guard. Very strong for the Cavaliers. You get down to Phantom, Blue Stars, Crossman. It's crazy. General effect, I'm just going to go by the overall captions because the sub-captions, like G1 is, the Crossmen are in 7th. Like, what? So, I'm just going to read the overall total of general effect and visual. Blue Devils first in general effect, Cavaliers second, Phantom comes third, Blue Stars fourth, Crossman fifth. That goes as they place. Then the Madison Scouts get 6th in general effect, the Colts 7th, and the Genesis goes 8th. Then you go over to visual. Blue Devils first, Cavaliers second. Third actually goes to the Crossmen, a strong point for them. Fourth to the Blue Stars. Fifth for Phantom Regiment. Sixth for the Colts. Madison Scouts come seventh, and Genesis eighth in visual. Then you go over to the music caption, and other than Madison and Colts, Madison comes sixth, Colts come seventh. This goes as is. I just want to point out brass and percussion. Blue Stars do beat Phantom in brass. Over in percussion, Phantom returns the favor, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. down 8. So some shocks here in Minnesota, but not a ton. I think it was a very good show. A lot of corps with outstanding productions this year. And I think when you look at these scores, it makes it even 10 times better, because not only are their shows so good, but the competition is so close that really you don't know who's going to win night in, night out. I mean, think about like a few years ago, thinking the Cavaliers, 2015, I think it is, when they came in like 9th, thinking they might have a chance to knock off the Blue Devils. Not saying that's bad for the Blue Devils, because their show's great, but just everybody being so close, it's just so great, I think, for the whole drum corps activity this season. And the third and final show yesterday was in Lexington, South Carolina. Crown beat Carolina Crown's home show, obviously, as the name states. Bluecoats, they matched Santa Clara Vanguard's score that they had last night, 82.7. Crown second. Look at the gap, though, between Crown and Boston. Less than half a point now. Almost 4/10. Less, a little more. Cadets fourth, Spirit fifth, Music City sixth, and Jersey Surf in their season debut come in seventh with a 57.05. Now let's take a look at the scoring recap for Crown beat last night. So here you see general effect and visual for world class. Bluecoats, they come first in everything. They're having it pretty easy right now when it comes to the scores. Crown and Boston. General effect 1, Crown. General effect 2, Boston. Overall general effect, a 10th to Crown. Over in visual. As is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Visual analysis. Bluecoats obviously first. Boston second. Crown third. Boston wins that by 3/10 over Crown. And color guard, that goes to Boston as well by 2/10. Overall visual, Boston gets second by 2/10 over Crown. Then we go to the music caption. And here you see Crown winning brass. No shock. They always do. By 2/10 over Boston, and or over Bluecoat, sorry, and then Boston down in third at 6-1. Music analysis, as is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then percussion. This is crazy. This is going to be crazy as we go through the season. This could be, if it comes down to like one of those like half-tenths spreads between like first and second or fourth and fifth, percussion would be something that decides it. Crown, they've really gained a lot, and now they are first. Second is Boston by 2/10. Crown has that win. Third is the Cadets, 16-2. Bluecoats fourth with a 16 even. Bluecoats percussion is something that might hurt them this season, because being 6/10 back of Crown, that's 6/10 you're losing, and then that overall music caption, that goes to Crown by 3/10. Then Boston's right there. So I think between Boston and Crown, that's a really good battle. And I think the Blue Stars still have a closer they have to, or Blue Coats still have a closer they need to add. So that might be something to watch in the next few days. Then last night we had 2 DCA shows, one in Landisville, Pennsylvania, the Buccaneer Classic. The Running Buccaneers get first at their home showing, 80.1, no surprise. Cadets 2 second, 75.9. Fusion Corps third with a 72.9 with a 2/10 penalty, so the subtotal 73.1. That's more of what I like to look at. And Bushwhackers fourth, 65.3, but that comes with a 4.8 point penalty, so they're really up 68, 69, 70 range. Let's take a look at the scoring recap for the Buccaneer Classic last night. Here you see the Reading Buccaneers. They win everything. That's who's second in everything except visual. They come fourth, which, or in color guard, they come fourth, and overall visual, they come third to Fusion Core, who comes second. Music, Bushwhackers good there, third in music ensemble over Fusion Core's. So Bushwhackers 141, Fusion Core 136, and over in effect, that goes as is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you see those overall subtotals there. That's more of what I like to look at. That's actually what's on the DCA leaderboards that I have, because that reflects what their actual show is. That penalty reflects timing and stuff like that. So that's not something I like to look at when it comes to how they might place at championships come September for DCA. Then last night, we had a 2-core show up in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, Precision and Pageantry. Hurricanes first, 71.6, and the Sunrisers, who were the hosts of this show, come second with a 68.2. Let's take a look at the scoring recap for Precision and Pageantry last night. So, not much to go over here. Hurricanes win everything. One's in every single row, column, whatever. Sunrisers second. Everything. Some places where they're close. I think these 2 cores, remember, only 1 core does not make DCA Open Class Finals come September up in Williamsport, because there's only 11 this year, 10 make finals. But over in A class, as I'll show you on the leaderboard in a minute, only 1 has performed, the Erie Thunderbirds. But there's 8 cores there and 4 make finals. So definitely going to be intriguing in A class this season. Now let's take a look at the DCI World Class leaderboard for this morning. All right, so here it is. You see Bluecoats and Vanguard both at the top. They're in 2 different places of the country. Washington and South Carolina last night, and they get the exact same score. That's very cool. Blue Devils 3rd, Crown 4th, Boston 5th, Cavaliers 6th, Cadets coming 7th, Blue Knights are 8th, Phantom is 9th, Blue Stars 10th. No big surprises there. Mandarin's not a big surprise in 11th. We knew they'd be really good this year. Crossman 12th. I'm going to see this bubble shrink a little bit, because 2.1 right now is a little big. I want to see it more within like a point. I think that would be great, and I think that'll happen as the tour continues on. Spirit, they're a bit of a surprise. They're in 13th. You keep going down. Academy with kind of a lower score last night throws them all the way down to 16th. They were actually 13th, I think, coming into yesterday. You see Surf there, first show down in 23rd, a few points above Pioneer. Now let's take a look at the DCI Open Class leaderboard for this morning. One on the left, that is excellent cores that will not be at championships, and the leaderboard on the right is including all cores. You see the Legends, they get a pretty good score last night. I think that's more of where they are, 56-6. River City Rhythm, they've got something special this year. 8th. Colt Cadets 9th, looking pretty good so far. Shadow 12th after their show last night. Actually tonight we'll be able to talk about the bubble come tomorrow morning, because Heatwave, they make their season debut tonight in Orlando. And then the Battalion Colombians, they're top 5-6 cores right now as this season's happening out of 18. That's just, I think that's just so great for them. I mean, think about it. These cores didn't even exist, I think, 5 years ago, probably even less. And now they're top 5 cores in DCI. I think this is in open class in DCI, obviously, but I think it's awesome for them. And some of these other cores, we're seeing Golden Empire this year make their first drawn over to World Championships in Michigan City, and I think it's going to be great. I think they're going to have a great time this season. I think they're going to place very well. You see that they're 7th right now out of those corps that are going to championships. Now let's take a look at the DCA leaderboard, something I have not shown on this podcast yet this season. So, over in open class at the top here, we have the Reading Buccaneers in first place, Hawthorne Cavaliers second, Cadets 2 third. As you go down here, you'll see those scores that are in Clifton next week. There's also a show in Huron, Georgia next week that the Atlanta Corvettes are at. They'll make their season debut there. But most of open class is in Clifton, with the exception of the White Sabres, Atlanta Corvettes, Cincinnati Tradition, and Chops Incorporated. We got to see Chops if you watched Minneapolis History or you were there. You got to see Chops Incorporated. They are, I think, finalist quality probably in DCA open class. Then down in A class, Erie Thunderbirds, the only ones that have performed so far. You see Carolina Gold and Southern Knights. Also the Skyliners. They will make their season debuts coming up this week. Carolina Gold and Southern Knights in Huron and Skyliners in Clifton. And you see those other 4 there that will be making their season debuts as the DCA tour progresses throughout the summer. Now let's take a look at tonight's shows for Sunday, July 8th, 2018. First up, Drums on Parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin. 7 o'clock, Welcome to National Anthem. 7:10, Exhibition, The Sound of Sun Prairie. Get 2 open class scores here, Shadow and Legends. Can the Legends continue to grow up on their point scale? And Shadow, can they break 50? I think they can. Then you see down in world class, Blue Devils here. They'll be the clear favorites. Phantom, Madison, Pioneer. No huge competition here. Pretty straightforward of how it will go. But, of course, let's see if Madison maybe can mess with Phantom in some captions. I think it's a real good possibility that they might be able to. Keynotes for Drums on Parade. It's at the Schneider Stadium at Carroll University in Waukesha. Weather looks great, 77 and sunny as the night starts, and goes 72 degrees and clear skies as the corps finish up their performances tonight. Second show tonight, Orlando, Florida, DCI Orlando, presented by the Great East Music Festivals and Music Store. Watch this one live on flowmarching.com, as I will be. 7 o'clock, Welcome to National Anthem. We have 3 South Sport teams here. The Central Florida Sounds of Freedom, Florida Express, and Impact of Orlando. Then we get the season debut of Open Class Corps Heatwave. They will be making, I believe, their inaugural jaunt to Michigan City this August, so they have an expanded tour. Music City, Jersey Surf then. Let's see if Surf can get some more points. Music City probably needs to get out of the 60-61 range because they've kind of been stuck there for a few days. Then we have Blue Coats, Crown, Boston Cadets, Spirit, all the normal suspects, if you will, that we've been seeing on the East Coast these past few weeks. So could Boston catch Crown? Maybe this is the night. But Crown has a pretty good show, but so does everybody. So really, who knows? You can watch it all live on flowmarching.com, though. Few notes for DCI Orlando. It's at Camping World Stadium, where the Citrus Bowl is played. Orlando, Florida for this one. About a 4-hour event. 84 partly sunny to 76 and partly cloudy as the night goes on. Very good weather for especially Florida show, because down in Florida it does rain, so very often. So I think that having a sunny skies, clear skies, I think it's exactly what we all want for a show that a lot of people will be watching, especially on Flow Marching, and the lots of people that will be attending Orlando in person. third and final show tonight, Rochester, Minnesota and River City Rhapsody. 7 o'clock, Welcome to National Anthem. 7:10, we get to see Chops Incorporated again. Then 2 open class scores here, River City Rhythm, Colt Cadets. 4 world class scores then, Blue Stars and Crossmen. No Phantom here. We haven't, I don't think, seen that yet. So how can these two fare without that factor of Phantom being here? I think that'll be something we have to watch. Could the Colts pull within 2-3 points of them? And Genesis, they are looking pretty good right now, maybe 64, 65 point range. But if they are where they were, I think that'd be great for them as well. Few notes for River City Rhapsody. It's at the Rochester Regional Stadium in Rochester, Minnesota. Sunny skies to mostly clear skies as the show goes on. Good night for some drum corps all around the country between Florida, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. And now just a few things before I wrap up today's edition of Drum Corps Central, a podcast. Make sure to visit drumcorpscentral.weebly.com for all your latest updates from the DCI and DCA summer tours. Scores, schedules, leaderboards, and more can all be found at my personal website, drumcorpscentral.weebly.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DrumCorpsGeek and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Drum Corps Central. Thank you for watching today. Sorry it was so long, but so much to get to. I mean, so many battles between DCA and DCI. I think it's just such a great year for the marching arts. Thank you for watching today. I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Drum Corps Central, a podcast.